Thanks for listening to the Good Enough Wellness Podcast. I'm Kayla.
And I'm Emily.
And we're passionate about holistic wellness that real people with real lives can achieve.
We see you out there striving for perfection, but we want you to know that good enough can be good enough.
Before we get started, everything we talk about in this show is intended for educational and entertainment purposes only. Always talk to your healthcare provider before making any changes to your diet, lifestyle, medication, or supplements. You're listening to episode 25, New Year, Same Old Me. In this episode, we are going to tackle the age-old New Year's resolutions conundrum.
But before we jump in, have you checked out our free Patreon? You can find the link in the description. It's the home of our show notes, resources, and community. We're working on to build this out to have lots of bonus content, so get in while it's still free. And there's lots of freebies on there right now.
Yeah.
So, Kayla, what have you been nerding out about?
So I have been nerding out about sourdough. I know it took me a long time to get on the bandwagon.
Welcome.
But Emily generously gave me some starter, which I forgot your jar at home. I just remembered that. But I started with some sourdough English muffins a couple weeks ago. And this past week I did English muffins. I did discard crackers. I did discard waffles, and I did a roasted garlic loaf.
It looked so good. I could smell it through the picture.
Delicious. So yeah, I've been nerding out about all things sourdough, learning lots of things about that I never thought I would know about flour and hydration and water and fermenting.
Yeah,
so,
it can be really intimidating because there's like so many ways to skin a cat when it comes to sourdough.
Which is why I hadn't really done it, because I was like, this feels like too much.
Mm-hmm. It took me a long time to wrap my head around it.
So I finally bit the bullet and I was like, well, I know at least 2 people with starters, so if I kill this one, I can get another one.
Mm-hmm.
And if it flops, it's not a big deal. I'm not depending on it.
And you tried, and that's important. But you're succeeding.
It's been doing really, really well.
So fun.
So, yeah.
I love it.
That's what I've been nerding out about. What about you, Emily?
Well, I've been nerding out about something. I think I'm like 20 years late on this bandwagon, but I've been listening to The Oath by Frank Peretti. I love Frank Peretti. Mm-hmm. Like, I loved his kids stuff. But I've really never listened to any of his books for adults. And this was really good. And I'm debating how to talk about this without like giving all the spoilers. Can you give a spoiler on something that's like 30 years old? I don't know. But it's an allegory, a 17-hour allegory, I might add, about really about sin and its effect on us. And even if we pursue what feels good in the moment, it always comes for us eventually. And it's been really good. I feel like almost a little rattled, like, oh wow, like I don't think I've thought about sin in such black and white terms in a long time, and maybe I should here and there.
Yeah.
It's been good.
I've enjoyed his books in the past as well. I haven't read anything really recently, but I think the first book I read from him was called Monster.
Yeah.
And that one was really good. I remember really liking that one. But yeah, he has such a way with words and like allegory that isn't cheesy.
It's not. And I kept waiting for it to be like, oh, here we go. Like, and it never got cheesy. And I was so shocked, honestly, and pleasantly surprised. But I'm definitely going to put more of his stuff on my to read list. I will say I want to go watch Hangman's Curse now, which is like a movie that we really enjoyed in high school, and like I'm curious to see if it's still good.
Yeah.
Do you remember Hangman's Curse?
Yes, I do remember Hangman's Curse. That one I think is a little cheesy, but
yeah.
I don't know. It was still good.
Do you believe in the hereafter? Do you remember that line?
I don't remember that.
Well, then you must know what I'm here after. And she goes, then you must know you won't get it. And then she like walks away.
I don't remember this. The only thing I remember are the spiders, because I am traumatized by spiders.
I must not be afraid of spiders because it's literally the last thing I thought of.
That's the only thing I could picture. And my cousin saying, wow, this was really cheesy.
To be fair, she's not impressed by much.
Yeah. I mean, and she was right. It is very cheesy, but it was okay.
I think cheesy can be good though.
Yeah.
something doesn't have to be like super realistic for you to get something out of it or be entertained by it.
I listen to a podcast called The Popcast, and one of the hosts is always saying, like, we need to bring back mid movies.
Yeah.
Like, there are too many movies that are great
Mm-hmm.
and not enough movies that are just mid. Like, it's oversaturating the market with great movies, so now your expectations are way too high
I love
all
that.
the time. We need a lot of more mid movies. So,
Amen and amen. Let's go. New Year, same old me. It's time to make all your New Year's resolutions and go through
Or
your
not.
pantry. Oh. So we're not going to like do a pantry overhaul. And
you can.
what about a new swimsuit that's 2 sizes too small that I can
Yes,
have a
inspiration.
Inspiration.
Yeah.
Fitspo.
Yeah, tape that picture up on the refrigerator so that way you don't snack too much. That's
Nothing tastes as good as skinny
what Ew.
feels.
Yeah.
Wait, how does that go?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how it goes. It's disgusting.
Ugh.
No matter what.
So now what?
Yeah. I think a lot of us are burnt out on the New Year's resolutions, like makeover every year. And I know, like, at least for me, like, I loved doing it for so many years. And then after so many years of
You just end up
failing.
being the same person at the end of the year?
Yeah, and I gave up on it, and I was like, well, that's it. I'm not making any goals because I can't reach any of my goals.
Yeah.
So this episode is going to be kind of like, let's talk about it. Like, why shouldn't you make some goals? Why should you make some goals? How do you succeed at your goals? When is it time to say goodbye to your goals? Let's just chat about it.
Yeah, I think I went through a huge burnout season where I was so tired of being like, this year I'm going to be 20 pounds lighter. This year I'm going to fit in my high school jeans. FYI, I was a child when I was in high school. I don't have to fit in my high school jeans.
No. Yeah, you're a different person now.
Mm-hmm. And I think last year is the first year that I was kind of like, I kind of want to make some goals. I kind of feel like making a few changes, and it was good. I actually had a good experience with it. So I really want to get to chatting about it. But first, let's talk about like, why not New Year's resolutions? Why do they fail? Why are they maybe not a good choice for you? That sort of thing.
I think there's a lot of reasons why they fail. Like, I was just struck by that particular question when you were saying that. And I think some of it is we're trying to overhaul our entire lives. Like, we're not making realistic goals usually. And we're doing them immediately after a very, very busy, stressful season when our bodies are craving slow, quiet, cozy. And instead we're like, we're going to eat spinach and go to the gym and get up early, when everything about our environment is saying, eat a roast.
Yeah, slow down.
Take a walk. Get up with the sun.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we try to usurp the natural season, at least for us in the northern hemisphere, I guess.
Sure, we're definitely speaking to a very certain spot in the world. And also, I think a lot of times we're making goals in a very knee-jerk reaction, emotional state. Like, New Year's Day, you went through Christmas and 5 Christmas parties. You went through New Year's Eve where you're maybe like partaking in some alcohol or something. And then New Year's Day, you get up and you can't button your jeans and you go, I need to change my entire life.
Right.
And I think we would just like to encourage you to like stop, take a breath,
Yeah.
slow down for a second and work through like, who are you? What do you actually want from life?
Mm-hmm.
What do you actually want next year to look like? And not just, everything's falling apart all of a sudden because I've had no structure for the last 2 weeks and I've just eaten cheese and I don't know what day it is.
Yeah.
I think we've all had that moment.
Yes. Or it's like, if it happens to coincide with a certain time in your cycle where it's already like things are feeling really tight and you are already feeling kind of angry.
Okay, listen. We might end up cutting this out, but I need you to know this. I have had the most inconsistent cycle my entire life. Okay. I'm working on it. I really am.
Yeah.
Gently. Most inconsistent. But if there's one thing I know to be true, is I will be on my period during Christmas break when my husband is home for 2 weeks. And I will have my period the Monday after we get married. I cannot guarantee it any other time. I have no idea what's going on, but I will have my period during those times. If you want to cut that out, you can. I had to get that off my chest. Sometimes, though, we really do want a fresh start.
Right.
Like I said, last year is the first year that I kind of was like, I want to set some goals. I want to do some things. I want to accomplish some things this year. And I did. I set some goals, and those were really great, and I really enjoyed them. It's okay. Like I love school supplies. Like in September.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm not a planner person, but you better bet I am in September and January.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. I have all the washi tape, all the stickers.
Mm-hmm.
Let's make a planner, and I use it for 2 months. Anyways, that's beside the point. I think sometimes you do need kind of like a fresh look at things. And that can totally come out of you kind of just slowing down for a second, taking a deep breath and saying, okay, where do I want to be? Where do I want to go?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think we're here to say like two things. It's okay to not have goals. It's okay to roll into the new year without a goal and still be a better person in 2025.
Yeah.
It's also okay to roll into the new year and be like, I'm ready for a fresh start. I'm ready to get things back on track, whatever that might look like for you.
Mm-hmm. I've got a whiteboard and a checklist and a plan that I'm going in with. Yeah.
It's okay to have both things, but whatever one you choose, I think you need to be realistic.
Mm-hmm.
If you decide not to have goals, be realistic about why.
Yeah.
Be realistic about like the intention of like, I'm taking a break because honestly my goal right now is to rest, and having the goals makes me crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So like, be realistic when making that decision.
This is probably a whole conversation in itself, but there is a difference. Like, rest is good. Rest is holy. Mm-hmm. That is good. But there's a difference between rest and slothfulness or laziness.
Yeah.
And that's definitely a whole conversation by itself. But just know yourself. And like Kayla said, know why you need this break. Is it because you have burnt yourself out and the Lord is saying rest? Or is it because like, it feels hard?
Right.
And likewise with that, you need to go in with a plan. You have to have, like, you can't just say, I want to run a marathon this year and see what happens. You have to you have to do your research. You have to have a training program. You have to like put the intention behind it so you actually do reach your goals, because who likes to set goals and then find yourself in September going, oh yeah, I was going to do that this year. I just never, it never happened. Weird. It's like, no, those things don't fall into your laps. You have to have a plan. Yeah.
Piggybacking right off of having a plan, when things do fail, like, you can have all the plans in the world, something is going to go awry. And if you've been alive for any amount of time, you know this. Like, you can have all the plans in the world, something will go awry. And I think the most important thing you can do here is be gentle. Be gentle with yourself and have a plan here too. Look forward to those things that you know are probably going to derail you. If you want to run a mile this week, or not this week, if you want to run a mile this year, and you can foresee that
you might get sick.
Yeah, if you get sick, or, the days are going to start getting shorter, or you're going to have an emergency dentist visit, have a plan for those things. Like, what is going to happen if an emergency happens on the day I'm supposed to train? I don't have the answer for that, but like, plan ahead and have a plan.
Right, and the plan can be anything. The plan can
Yes.
be, well, if I can't get to it on Thursday, I'm doing it on Friday. Or the plan can be like, this was supposed to be a fun goal. If I can't get to it on Thursday, that's okay. I'm going to try again the next week.
Pick it back up on Tuesday.
Yeah, and that's okay. Like, there's no
Yes.
wrong answer here. It's just
Right.
have a method of operation so that you don't end up floundering and be like, I messed up this week. It
Throw it
wasn't
all
that
out.
big. Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't really want to do that anyways. Like,
yeah.
that sort of thing. And I think that's a good time to really talk about, like, what's your personality.
Yeah.
I'm very type B, very
Me too.
very ADHD, and I think once I understood that about myself, those aren't necessarily bad things, but it was a bad thing when I didn't know that about myself. So I was planning like a type A, have my ish together person, and it turns out I'm not that person. So
Yes.
having more of a flow of how to go about life, and this was about all life really, that fit my personality better, I've been able to accomplish so many more things.
Yes. And I'll have some resources, like at the end of the episode we're going to talk a little bit about like some resources, but and when it comes to understanding your personality, there's a couple different ways to do this. So like you can look at your Myers-Briggs personality test. I liked the Enneagram. That was really helpful for me in understanding myself and other people. And then Gretchen Rubin is an author, and she has a like a personality typing system as well, and it's called the 4 Tendencies, and that one was, I think, one of the best ways that I understood other people. Like Enneagram helped me understand myself. 4 Tendencies really helped me understand other people. So if like you're an accountability partner for somebody, that one can be really helpful for like supporting somebody else with their goals. So those are just kind of a few of the ones that are out there. I mean, there's lots more out there. You know, if you want to go by Hogwarts houses, like anything you want to do really
I love that.
is fine. But I think using some kind of like sorting system, I know people don't like labels, don't like boxes or whatever, but it is helpful for understanding yourself so that way you can make the goals that are going to make sense for you and your personality.
Yeah, that's really good. And I know you've been doing a lot of research and time on mindset because of like your business coaching and stuff. And I would love if you would talk about that a little bit, because that's something I don't know a ton about, but I want to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, so my business coach is like a certified life coach through the Life Coach School. And I haven't listened to it, but I know she has a podcast. The founder of Life Coach School is Brooke Castillo, and she has a podcast. I think it's just the Life Coach podcast or something like that. So you can go and listen to that if you're interested in more of this kind of stuff. But she teaches something called the model. And the model is just a way to understand how our thoughts affect our results. So she teaches it this way, where we look at our circumstance, and the circumstance is something that does not change. Like, is a fact, will be proven in a court of law kind of fact. It can be something like, I weigh 150 pounds. That's a fact. Like, you can look at a scale and see, I weigh this number. And then you have a thought about that, and that thought can be, wow, that's so skinny. That thought can be, wow, I'm so fat. And then that thought creates a feeling, and that can be discouraged or encouraged. And then from there, you take an action. So if you're feeling fat, discouraged, your action might be sit on the couch and eat a bag of potato chips, which then your result is you're fat.
More fat.
Yes. And then if you think, wow, that's so skinny, you feel encouraged, and then your action is probably going to be you get out and you take a walk and you cook yourself a healthy dinner because you're feeling encouraged.
Look how fit I am.
And then your result is you're more fit. So like our thought is what determines our result, and it's very circular. So if you want to hack this, you go the opposite way. You start with the result. This is the result I want. I want to be, I don't know, a lot of the,
I want to be a morning person.
yeah, I want to be a morning person. So then what action would you have to take in order to be a morning person? And then what feeling would you have to feel to take that action? What thought would you have to think to feel that feeling?
That's good. I like that.
So that's the model in a nutshell.
I like having a model to work off of. When I was shooting competitively and like had a coach back in the day, we did a lot of like visualization of like hitting the bullseye.
Yeah.
Like, and it felt kind of dumb at the time, but
Yeah.
it was like pretty
It
soon.
works.
Well, yeah, pretty soon I was a person who hit the bullseye.
Yes.
Like, it's very cool. Not that form didn't matter, not that all the other things didn't matter, but it was just like that intention behind it.
It gave you the confidence.
Yeah. A while ago, I was listening to a podcast. I think it was the Trim Healthy Mama podcast. I don't know. They're interesting. They've got an interesting take on life and food. Take it or leave it. But one of the guys who actually helps host it, he had this like epiphany where he wanted to, it might have been be a morning person or be a runner or something. And he started this mantra where he, like, whatever he wanted to do, he'd say, you know me, I'm a guy who runs. You know me, I'm a guy who eats protein at every meal. And like, he started labeling himself as the thing he wanted to be.
Yeah.
It's like dressing for the job you want.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I like that. That makes a lot of sense in my brain.
Yeah. I know Adina Rubin does this too, where she's like, I am a person who trains on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays.
Yes.
And so I'm going to train today because I'm a person who trains on Tuesdays and Thursdays and Wednesdays.
I love
or
that.
Sundays.
Yeah.
I just all over the place. Anyway, yeah, I think like mindset can really make or break your goals because, if you're a person who reaches your goals, then, you have to do all these things.
Yeah. And I've used it for like really like minor things too. Like sometimes when I want to trick myself into like cleaning the kitchen, I'll be like, you know me, I'm the girl who has a clean kitchen all the time. Like, by the way, I'm not, but I am for the purposes of convincing myself to wash the dishes.
Right.
I am.
Yes.
I'm that girl who has a clean kitchen. And I like that a lot. That makes sense in my brain.
Yeah.
I wanted to compile a list of like alternative goals you could have if you're like, I would like to set some goals. I don't really want to be floundering through the year. I kind of want to have something to work towards, but you're kind of sick of the like time to go keto or like whatever,
Yeah.
So here's just a few things that I thought of that I was like, this would be a worthwhile thing to make a goal. So on my list is you could work on reducing your screen time. That's good for everybody. There's nobody it's bad for at any time. There's the 1,000 hours outside challenge. They have a Facebook page. They have a website. They have a podcast. I recommend all of it. You could set a goal to go on like a monthly adventure. Like one of our goals this year is to get either out camping or to our family camp once a month. One or the other. We'll pick a weekend when we'll do that. And I'm really excited about that. Your goal could be to learn a new skill. Or also something that's been really popular within our friend group is working on building our community. And if you don't have a friend group and you don't have a community, then that should be your goal. But one of our goals was to have like a once a month family dinner.
Yeah.
It's not our family, but it's our chosen family.
Right.
What about you? Do you have any to add to that?
I have like lots of like little goals, I think. Like, I still want to walk every day.
Yeah.
I've been learning more about lunar cycles.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to like figure out how to live my life by the moon a little bit more.
Ooh. It sounds so new age. I promise it's not.
Yeah. But like using the moon to like pick my activities, I guess. And with that, like
for example, if you wanted to turn into a werewolf and
yes,
like ravage the town.
Exactly.
Yes.
I'd have to know when the moon was going to be full.
You would, yes. Yeah. Sorry.
But along those same lines, like I'm trying to think more seasonally rather than annually. Like this isn't my 2025 goal. This is my spring goal, my summer goal, my fall goal, So and that also has to do with, following the moon.
Yes.
And so I think that's more of like what my shift has been leaning toward
Mhm.
is not necessarily a specific thing, but like how can I align my life more with
With the way that God designed it to
exactly
be, really.
like that's how I'm trying to find like words for it, but that's exactly what I'm thinking is like God designed our bodies to be in tune and follow these certain cycles
right.
that are dictated by the moon.
Before
the sun.
before we had blue light, but even before that, before we had artificial light,
Right.
we had to rely on the light of nature and
Yes.
the rhythm of nature a lot more. And because of that, we synced up with it a lot more. There's a lot of evidence to show that our periods would follow the cycle of the moon.
Yes.
That depending on whether you were in a season of fertility or not. So somebody told me this. I haven't researched it all, but there is some research to back this up from what I understand. That if we were in like a time of fertility, our cycle would line up to be fertile with the full moon. So you have romantic moonlight.
Lots of mood lighting.
Yes. And then when you were like not in a fertile state, you would be bleeding with the full moon. So you had light to like take care of your period with.
Yes.
Which I think is so fascinating. And I'm sure there's tons more research you could get into with that. But yeah, I love that goal. I think that's awesome.
Yeah. And I want to say like this is just beyond like menstrual cycle and lunar cycle.
Yes.
But like I think because of that, I'm going to say the word evolved, but I don't necessarily mean like
it changed.
Evolved, yeah. So I think our human bodies have evolved or
we've adapted is probably the word.
Yeah, created to like perform certain activities based on the moon and the seasons, and our current modern way of living, which is just turn on a light and go for as many hours of the day, quote unquote day, as you can, even though it's technically still by the seasons, by God's rules, it's night. I think that's part of what's wrecking us, and I want to get back to not being wrecked.
Yeah.
I want to get back to God's way of doing things as much as I can.
Goal number 1, get unwrecked this year.
Yes, my 2025 goal, get unwrecked.
I think we're going to start a new series. I don't know what we're doing with it yet, but that's our hashtag. Hashtag get unwrecked. Stay tuned.
I like it.
Yeah, my personal goals this year, I don't have them all together yet per my type B personality. But I like to like make lists of like, if I had time, what would I learn? What would I learn how to do? What would I work on? And then I pick like one thing to work on for that month. And I did this last year and I loved it. It worked super well up until school let out, which is when like all hell breaks loose. There's no structure at all. But yeah, I'm really excited. I know that making a good ramen is on that list, like with like legit ingredients, and I want to make my noodles and stuff. But yet to be determined what else I'm going to do. But if I don't make a complete list, that's fine. I'll take it 1 month at a time.
Exactly. You can pick that monthly focus at the top of the month.
Yeah, just a reminder, if you're not listening to this, in the new year, like
it's evergreen.
You can start whenever. You're not bound by January 1st or by the start of the new school year. Start whenever.
Yeah, you can start on a random Tuesday.
Absolutely. So we put together some, I said book recs, but I actually have a YouTube channel in here too, and we probably have some podcast recommendations too. Just like resources that like if you are looking to like, if what you're doing isn't working, if you're not accomplishing things, if you're not getting anywhere, like here's some places where you could like gently start to make some changes.
Yeah.
We both really liked Atomic Habits. It's a book
by James Clear.
Oh, there you go. I was like, I should have written that down. I did not.
I saw your face and I was like, she does not know the author.
Super good. It's just all about like how to stack your habits and put things together, and so that they actually, you have to think about it less. That's what habits are. They're things you do without thinking about it. It was very good. And that one has been available like through our local library and stuff. So we don't even have to always like purchase things to get more information. And then also you've heard us talk about it before, but Comfort Crisis was so good. I've actually thought about listening to it again because I liked it so much.
I think I will listen to it again.
It shook me a little bit. It really did. It shifted a lot of things in my brain. And then I really love Madison Gray's YouTube channel. I think it could be for anybody, but I think especially if you are in a season of like, I am sick of go, go, go. I am sick of New Year's resolutions that don't work out and all this stuff. I think she's for you. It's slow living. It's gentle. It's living seasonally and rhythmically. And it's done in a like kind of this romanticized, I know it bugs some people. It's my cup of tea though. Something that's like romanticizing everyday life. And, she's your girl if you need to just let your body take a deep breath.
Yeah. I also, it's funny because we did not collaborate at all when we were thinking about this episode. And so when I opened up our shared document and she wrote Atomic Habits on here, I was like, hey, that was my first recommendation too.
Yeah, look at us.
So I also recommend Atomic Habits. I also really liked the book Better Than Before by Gretchen Rubin, which I talked about her before with her 4 Tendencies personality typing. I like everything Gretchen Rubin does, I think. But Better Than Before was a good book about habits that I read from her. I think it belongs in this section and in this episode is the book The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. And also the book Practicing the Way, both by, now I'm blanking.
Don't look at me.
John Mark Comer.
Yep, that's what I was going to say.
I knew I needed a second to come up with it. But both of those books, I'm currently reading Practicing the Way, but The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry was really what got me to be like, I'm not living in a godly fashion. And I don't mean like living in sin, but I'm completely disregarding the way that God has intended us to live. With the constant inundation of music, screens, work, information, people. Like, I need a space. I need space, and that is fine. So both of those books can be really helpful in inspiring a slowdown as well. And then if you go to our Patreon, to the show notes for this episode, I'll have a whole list of like Instagram accounts and Enneagram resources. If you are interested in learning more about your personality from the Enneagram perspective, I know it was really helpful for me. Some people don't really care for it, and that's fine. But if that's something that interests you, I'll have some resources there about the Enneagram as well.
Yeah, that feels like a good time to go ahead and plug our Patreon too. Guys, we're so excited about our Patreon. We've been building it up. It seems like almost every episode we put something new in there, something extra, and it's totally free right now. And we really want to give you all the resources that we have and more to be able to, live our best wellness life. So don't forget to go on over there, join. It's free.
And we want to hear from you too. Like, please leave a comment and tell us like what you thought of the episode. If you had any questions or ideas, or like you were like
differing opinions.
Yeah. If you said, we're like, oh, I thought of this in your list of tips. We want to hear it.
Absolutely.
Like,
let's have a conversation.
We love community, if you haven't guessed that by now.
Good stuff. All right, Kayla, what's good this week?
What's good this week is marshmallows.
Yes, girl.
So I have been crunchy long enough that I should have been making marshmallows before now. I know. And I actually have attempted to make marshmallows a couple times before, and they have flopped massively.
Really?
Yes. And I finally was like, I'm going to try it again. And I watch my nieces on Thursday morning. So Thursday morning, I was like, girls, we're going to make marshmallows. And so I whipped up a batch, and they were perfect the first time. And my niece is obsessed with them. My husband sent me a picture of her yesterday morning hanging on the drawer handles, just staring at the pan of marshmallows because she desperately wanted a marshmallow for breakfast. So
That's fair.
yeah, what's good this week is my homemade marshmallows, and I've been making hot chocolate and dropping them in there. They're just so good.
You sound like you're living your best seasonal life.
I am living my best seasonal life. This was after one of the nieces dumped a half a gallon of water on my bedroom floor.
Hmm.
And then I was like, I think I need some time in the kitchen, because to me, that's what unwinds me, I think.
I think I need a marshmallow.
I think. Yes, I need to eat some sugar.
Calm those adrenals right down.
Yes, and get over myself.
Yes, correct.
So, Emily, what's been good this week for you?
God's good this week. Yeah, every week. But this week, just really showing up where I needed it. And I'm going to get a little vulnerable and just say, like, I've been really struggling with, probably the last 6 months about, like, I feel like I'm going in so many different directions. I've got so many irons in the fire. And I sometimes it's easy when you serve in a church and you've been serving in a church for a long time, especially in the same place. I can feel really lonely at times, and you're not really sure, like, am I actually doing anything I'm supposed to be doing? Am I making a difference? I'm not really sure if anybody sees me right now. And so I've been having this conversation with the Lord for a good 6 months of, like, I need fresh revelation here. Like, what am I doing? I don't even know if I belong here. And my sweet friend, who we both have a bunch of kids and we're usually going opposite directions, so I don't get to talk to her often. But she came up to me the other Sunday and she's like, hey, like, I need to talk to you. She's like, I'm so thankful for you and I'm so glad you're here. And like, we trust you with our kids, and like, you can't ever leave, at least not until my youngest is like graduate, like all this stuff. And it was just like everything that I've been like asking the Lord, like, what's going on? I don't know what's happening. And like, literally she answered word for word almost every question I had without knowing. Like, we haven't talked like heart to heart in quite some time, so it's not even like she knew what was going on. And like, that's just cool. I love when that happens. And I've got 2 stories. So like, going right off of that, we're in this like big transition period, and I serve in children's ministry and part of that team. It's an ever changing, ever growing, ever evolving ministry, and it can be really tricky at times. And we're going through this big change right now. We've got a lot of different things happening. Our children's ministry has grown exponentially, which we're so thankful for, but also we're scrambling a little bit and trying to figure out, okay, where are we going next? And we had one of our church leaders, not just our children's church leaders, but our head of church leaders came to us and said, like, I have this vision and this plan. And she was very humble about it. Like, obviously you guys are implementing it and this needs to be your thing, but here's what these ideas I have. And we've been working on implementing those, but we keep getting stuck. We keep going like, this is a lot. This is really different. And like, we feel a little stuck here. Well, I've mentioned my husband has a tire business, and he was doing this lady's tires, complete stranger to us. Like, I think he may have met her another time when he was like putting her snow tires on, you know? And, they were kind of just casually chatting. He's like, yeah, you know, we've got a lot of new stuff going on in church. And she's like, oh, what are you doing? He's like, oh, we're in children's ministry. And she like stopped. She's like, oh my goodness. She's like, I got a word for somebody in children's ministry, and I didn't know who it was for, but like, it must be for you.
That's awesome.
It was so cool. Oh my gosh, I get goosebumps just thinking about it. And she like told us, like, the Lord said, like, these are the things that you need to do, and this is how you need to do it, and spoke like very specifically to the things we were doing. Without, like, we don't know her. She doesn't know our ministry. We don't know her. And the very specifics that she gave us, and we're like, whoa, okay, that actually makes so much sense, and that would make everything so much easier.
Yeah.
And we were able to take that to our team and be like, here's what happened. This was so cool. Like, what a moment we had. So yeah, God is good, and he's pretty cool. Like, the way that like complete strangers can show up for you, or, you know, speak into your life in ways that you didn't expect.
That is crazy.
It is really
And
crazy.
awesome.
It is really awesome. So yeah, long-winded way to say God is good.
All the time.
And all the time.
God is good.
Amen. Thank you for listening to the Good Enough Wellness Podcast.
To learn more about my one-on-one packages, join my mailing list and follow me on Instagram at Kayla King Wellness.
Don't forget to subscribe to the Good Enough Wellness podcast feed wherever you listen to podcasts. You don't want to miss an episode.
Follow us on Instagram at Good Enough Wellness Podcast to learn about upcoming episodes and join our free Patreon to interact with the Good Enough community.
The Good Enough Wellness Podcast, because good enough can be good enough.
Well, that's good enough for me.
Me too.